with this roundtable that's happening in Canberra tomorrow. And check in with Macro Business Chief Economist Leith Van Onselen. Good to talk to you again, Leith. Let me just start off. You setting this up for us. What's your assessment of the agenda as it's been outlined so far by the government?
Oh, to be honest with you, Chris, I think it's a joke. It's not going to solve any of our issues. I find it amazing that of the 5 discussion papers that were released by the Productivity Commission leading into this week's summit, not one of them mentioned the word immigration. And the reason why I say that's important is that Australia's huge mass immigration program that we've run for over 20 years, I argue, is one of the main reasons why we've had a sharp decline in productivity and living standards. So Australia's population has grown by 8.7 million people this century so far, Chris. That's 46%. But Australia, and anybody living in the street would know that Australia has not built enough investment to keep up with that population growth. So I'm talking about business investment, infrastructure, enough homes for the millions of extra people. And as a result, everyone's standard of living has gone down, not up. And Australia's productivity has been harmed because the amount of capital investment has not kept up with the number of people. So Australia has effectively been caught in the worst of both worlds. We've had recessionary levels of private business investment, but then we've also diluted that investment amongst masses of extra people. And the second area that they're not going to properly discuss or solve is Australia's, energy crisis. So Australia's committing energy policy suicide because we're shutting down reliable base load power, i.e. coal, for intermittent weather-dependent renewables. And that's just going to add cost right across the supply chain on every single level of supply chain. And we're just going to have a higher energy cost future, which means we're going to have further deindustrialisation. We're going to be a less productive economy and a less self-sufficient economy going forward. And these are the 2 areas where the Productivity Roundtable is not going to tackle.
They're so obviously the 2 biggest inputs into the economic situation we're dealing with at the moment, yet they're just pretending that they're not happening, as if they're just givens and we have to work around them. The other one I'd throw into that mix is the labour market. If you really want a more productive economy, you have to look at ways of freeing up the labour market. And this government, as all Labor governments do, has gone in the opposite direction. They've imposed new restrictions on the labour market. And yet they're saying they won't talk about the labour market at this roundtable.
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole thing's a joke. It's not going to tackle any of the areas that we actually need to be tackled. And, it's going to be powerful, of course. It's going to be like the 2022 Jobs and Skills Summit. We can go right back in the old days with the Henry Tax Review, where they spent ages coming up with a tax policy reform program and none of it was implemented. So this is just another talk fest. And just on the issue of immigration, if anything, the Albanese government's gone the other way. So instead of aiming for a smaller quantity, much higher quality immigration system, they're actually ramping up students, even more international students. They've also dumbed down English language standards. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel and having a higher volume of migrants that are going to be lower quality.
Yes, and
that's just going to reduce your productivity.
Yeah, just briefly before I let you go, just on that, the quality, you talk about the high levels of immigration. This is the point. We've had skill shortages. We still have skill shortages in certain areas that are holding back our economic growth, yet we seem to be completely lacking discernment in the immigrants we bring in, because that's how we could easily fill a lot of those skill shortages.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I said, the population's grown by 8.7 million people this century through immigration, and yet we've got worse skills shortages than ever. So that just tells you that we're bringing in the wrong sorts of people that don't actually that aren't highly skilled and are just creating pressures across the economy, but not solving the core problem of skills.
Well, great to talk to you again, Leith, and after hearing from you again, I can see why you didn't get an invite to the round table. We should have sponsored you in there, get you in there to take over the head of the table and talk some sense into them. Appreciate it. Leith Van Onselen there from Macro Business. He's the Chief Economist there. We've got to go to a break.